I'd like to call a meeting to order at, I'm assuming 6 o'clock. On Monday, April 15th, 2024, at the town hall. Somebody make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. So, any discussion of the agenda? If not, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. We have 2 minutes to prove tonight. The first one is the regular meeting that was on April 1st, 2024. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes that were presented?
I don't have any.
If not, somebody make a motion to approve the minutes of April 1st, 2024.
So moved.
If there's no discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we have the special meeting that was held on April 8th, 2024. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes as presented?
I didn't have any. No. Have anything change it? I didn't have any change.
No, there are no changes. Okay, if there were no changes, somebody make a motion to accept the minutes of April 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Okay. Highway report. We have the access permit for Coda and Structural Wood Corporation. Someone make a motion to accept that and to give Morgan the authority to sign the permits.
so moved.
Okay. Any discussion on this, on the overweight, on the weight limits? If not, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Colby, you want to give us a little update?
Grading and ranking, I got a list of things that are done and a list of things that are gonna be done. Do you want those?
Sure.
121 has been graded. This is the list that's been graded. 121, Campsport Road, Parker Hill, Middletown, all side roads on Middletown. Eastman, Red Orchard, Cabell Road, Hinkley Brook, Fire Pond, Fisher Hill, and Anderson Road. 121 tomorrow morning will get graded again for the second time. And Wyman Hill, Ledge Road, Kidder Hill, and all those side roads on Eastman are left on the list, and Elvis Road. And as of right now, it's all we're gonna be doing grading and ranking. So we're all caught up.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Do the ditch up on Parker Hill and
Tomorrow morning, maybe, depends on if I get a chance to get up there. I think I probably will get a chance to get there tomorrow morning.
Anything else from the highway crew?
That's all I got. Yeah.
At least I think things is finally coming to,
Drying out.
yeah.
Hopefully.
Going back to normal, I think.
Yeah,
I
hopefully.
so no other issues on Anderson building?
What's that?
No other issues on Anderson Road.
Anderson Road is just as beautiful as it always is.
Are there any more comments from the resident on Anderson?
I haven't heard anything. She told me she was gonna be here at the meeting to discuss it, but apparently we have no shower. Other than that, there's just one little wet spot over there. Nothing I can do with it until it dries out. It's almost dried out now, so. Hopefully next time we go back over there, or the grader or the rake, it'll dry out a little bit more, but. Other than that, it's good.
Good. All right, Kim's not here, so who's gonna do a liquor license?
I can see that. So NKT submitted their first and second class permits. And the Grafton Nature Museum submitted a one-time catering permit. So Kim has just, for the catering permits, she's just always approved those. She said Cynthia had always just done them when they come in because they're so sporadic throughout the year. So she was hoping to have two motions, one to approve the permits from MKT and the Grafton Nature Museum, and then a second to approve her to, or authorize her to approve any one-time outside catering permits.
You want two separate motions?
Yeah, she would prefer just so that it's cleaner.
Somebody want to make that motion? The first one, for NKT? We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. And the second one is for Kim to give her the permission to do the
Catering permits.
catering permits. One second,
Second.
discussion, no? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Liquor licensing. Committee reports, does person have any,
No, it's kind of plan.
wastewater, there's nothing. We had no meetings with, the state or with High and Bond, so that project just kind of sits there until we'll have a final meeting, some kind of a meeting to see where we are, so. It's stagnant right now. Flood, is Bill here for flood update?
He's not here. I can give a quick
Danny?
update. Yes, and John can add if I missed something. So I have officially finished submitting everything for the federal aid highways, so that's 121 east and west and Route 35. And the total request for those roads was just under $340,000. We also got assigned a new FEMA representative, and I had a brief conversation with her on the phone today. She also spoke with Bill quite a bit about Londonderry stuff, and Bill feels confident that we can move forward in a faster manner, and it'll be more streamlined from what I understood. That's all that I really have to update on. I spoke with her today about the Bell Road culvert, and she didn't have any hesitation so far about the things that I sent her. So,
I think it's moving along a lot better than it was. It's still slow. But I think things are gonna happen a little bit better.
Well, I think according to what, Kim and, Morgan said, we should be expecting some money from the state within the next couple of weeks. Couple 100,000 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many more projects have to be submitted?
all of FEMA stuff. We've submitted 2 projects to them for review. And then I think we have. I haven't counted, but I'm pretty sure it's 16 or 18 total projects.
Did we hear anything from Bernie?
We got a response, no, the short answer is no. We got a response back from Becca Balance office, but her response was, here's a list of people to contact at FEMA. Here you go, but those are the people we had already been in contact with, so I responded back and said, that is less than helpful, respectfully, but we're looking for more assistance from the state level. And it's been crickets since that, so yes and no.
And Heather Chase answered, and she said, just, we can't do anything, it's up to the federal government, so. That was her response.
I got the same response from her too. And everybody that we've already contacted or sent letters to, they already did that. Nothing from Bernie Sanders or, nothing
From the
Minutes
governor's
to-
office.
to- what we're asking for. They don't have a voice and they're not using it. That's my take on it. Which I think they can.
And in regards to FEMA, I mean, the state still plays a big role in that. The state still pays a portion. And it's ultimately, from what I know, all approved by the state, but it goes through FEMA, so. I don't think it's solely a federal program. I think it's a big group of everybody.
But the letters did go out as we said they did. Yeah. That's where we are. So I hope that maybe somebody will do something and we'll hear from Bernie or the governor or somebody, but so far, that's it. Anybody need to talk about it? Not, we'll move on. The village park request for proposal, you want to give that?
Yeah, so I've met with the village park volunteers and we drafted the request for proposals and I gave you all a copy. This work it's all included under the grant that we received and essentially it's to create and smooth out easily accessible trail that avoids the steep lawn area at the very beginning of the trail. And then there's also some minor drainage work that has to be done to dry out the surface of the trail. Yeah, so it would all be within the grant, it's all reimbursable. And so if it's approved, we would like to advertise that so that we can get bids back for the excavation work that needs to be done.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make them. So move the, have the bids go out for the village park trail project for 2024.
Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? Anybody have any questions on? If not, somebody then. Let's take a vote. All in favor of sending, putting the invitation out to bid, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. We have another one, huh? The hazard mitigation bid.
So there's nothing really to open because those were sent through email and we received bids from 4 separate companies. Fairweather Science LLC, OPH Consulting, Brett Owl LLC, and Steam Solutions. And I talked to Bill this afternoon. He would like to review those and then we would come back with a recommendation for the next meeting.
Okay, great. Now the local emergency management plan.
Okay, so the emergency management committee met last Thursday and we reviewed the draft. We made some minor changes. And after those revisions, they felt comfortable to have it approved by the select board. So just as a refresher, this is done every year, submitted to the state. So we would just need a motion to approve and adopt the local emergency management plan for the upcoming year.
Okay, and you guys had a meeting and.
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody want to make a motion to that effect and we approve the local emergency management plan? So.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor of approving the plan, say aye. Opposed? Okay. The Wyndham County Humane Society contract.
Their contract is the same. This is for animal driven for the fiscal year 2024 to 2025. Their rate is the exact same as last year at 385, which we have budgeted for. So for that, we would also just need a motion to approve that, and then Joe, I would need you to sign it.
Okay. Everybody knows that if if we have the rabbit dogs or whatever, they go out and do all that kind of stuff. They take care of if the look of unlicensed dogs, they go out. So we don't have to do that, and it worked out very well. So.
Isn't that what some of your ACO does? Your animal control officer? through
Yeah,
the
but
sheriff's office?
this was through the sheriff department. And this works out much better. And there's, I don't know, how many towns are there? 5 or 6 towns, I think now,
21, I thought.
more.
21 pounds? 21 pounds are involved.
And they help, it makes life easier, we don't have to shut down. Some of us go to the door and find the dog or whatever, and they do all that kind of stuff, so.
But
This is
No.
the 3rd year, I think we've had it.
I don't believe they take in dogs that, whole dogs without rabies.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever they.
I can say briefly, their contract says that the Winter County Humane Society will accept stray, domestic, canine, and feline animals and small domesticated pets, including reptiles and birds found within the town limits. They will shelter safe, legal, healthy animals. And then it goes on to say that animals may be relinquished by the animal control officer or a resident of the town. So I think it's in conjunction with animal control officer.
Oh,
Yeah. What did you?
Do you know how many, does that account of the use for the town? I think Kim has that.
She might,
Or the animal control person.
she might have something.
And I want to make a motion to approve this animal control contract.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, so I don't know how you want to proceed with the short-term rental, but we went over the proposal and go looking for comments, and then obviously, if we want to go forward with it, then we have to have an ordinance or a meeting and go through all the steps. But is there any comments, or you still you want to hear it? Go ahead, Sam.
Sure, I had a couple of comments. I read it this afternoon and I read it one time before. I don't see any provisions for off-site parking or on-site parking in the ordinance. I know that when Mike was here, he had, I think the road crew had complained a couple times, it was tough to get equipment through because people have parked helter skelter. The other thing I noticed, there's no provision there for inspections for fire or smoke alarms or carbon alarms in these houses either. I could have overlooked them, but I don't think I have.
No, there isn't any provision to that because who's gonna do it? We don't have a police force. People can't get into the houses and which is not attached to this. There's a check sheet that goes along with it.
Yeah.
That the person has to sign and they're supposed to make sure that they have the proper smoke detectors. It's a whole long list that we got from the state. So when they sign that, if this goes through and they sign it and they pay their fee, they also have to acknowledge that they rented their house and that all is up to code. Now, they could lie on it, but what are we gonna do? We don't have the authority to go in and inspect these houses. And the fire marshal doesn't have he had the authority, but they're not gonna come here and inspect every little Airbnb around the state, so it's kind of like a self.
So, because I was wondering, well, what would one do? Like our latest snowstorm, and some people here are visiting in their Airbnbs, and you got a snowstorm, and there's just cars parked in the street. How are you gonna get through with the plow these things? Yeah. And
Or in any season of the year to get emergency equipment through.
Yeah.
Narrow roads.
you have emergency equipment, you have plows and so forth. And the smoke alarm and the carbon monoxide alarms. I think are pretty important.
I agree.
Be in every bedroom.
But you didn't have a checklist on here, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
No, I don't have it in my copy, that's why I'm.
Yes, you do.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, here it is.
But anyway, we probably, because there's no provision on the, the parking off road, or whatever, off-site parking, you can put that down there that during, they're not supposed to park on the road at any time because of emergency vehicles or fire.
See anything about noise,
She's in a house there, she's on Zoom.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I would like to suggest as a matter of process for this evening that that the select board takes down the ideas that are presented by the public about short-term rentals and then consult with our town attorney on the feasibility of enacting these rather than making decisions tonight, whether they're possible or not.
There was, obviously, this is why we were doing it, is to get input.
Okay, great. It seemed like we're gonna rule some things out, rule some things. So I would add to this list, garbage disposal. We have some examples of unsightly, garbage, situations in the village. And, I think we should have a provision about how garbage should be collected.
Okay,
These are from, short-term rental homes or private
Right.
homes?
No, private homes can do whatever they want to do with their garbage, but short-term rentals are a different story.
okay. Are there any other comments or suggestions that you'd like to see? Go ahead.
First of all, I don't have an Airbnb, so just so you know, but I just think you're gonna run some issues with a few things, like the parking. I mean, people park on both sides of the road to drive in the store every day. You'll park up the side of the road here, and the tavern, so that's gonna be an issue, I think. The fees, which are not, obviously not a lot of money, but I mean, what other businesses in town you charge fees to have their business in town, so I guess. Doesn't matter to me either way, like I said, it doesn't involve me, but I just think you're gonna run into issues. When somebody says that, so you might wanna be ready to have an answer. If someone asks you, what about the car parking outside the road from June's store, you know? Now, it's their property, I really think you should go after septic stuff, I think you ought to make sure the septics are up to, snuff for what they've got people staying there. That's a big thing, and it can affect other people in town, when their sewer starts blowing out of the ground, and you live downhill from somebody. But as far as some of the other stuff, and even the noise ordinance, I mean, so somebody that's having a party at a house, is renting a house, can't make noise past 10, or someone that owns a house can party every night, I mean, there's some things that are gonna come up, that's all I was thinking.
Well, we do have provisions, that they have to pump their septic system, and there's also, the select board is also involved now, looking at the old pumping ordinance that was done 30 years ago or more, and to see, if that needs to be adjusted.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, we're waiting for the wastewater people to get back to us, because we have some questions to see if they could help us and give us what the new requirements are. If there are any new requirements that we put in, as far as, look, to me, I know that the North Star Gallery, they had a septic system for one family house. Now there's three units in there. I'm sure the septic system is not adequate.
Yeah, actually, technically, I worked there, so I know, I don't think there's any more bedrooms than there was before. So my point is,
Yeah, there's more people in there.
yeah, it doesn't matter, if you have a septic set up for 4-bedroom house. And, you live there with your family, or you rent that house out to people, with 4 people staying in that house, it's still the same amount of people. So you're gonna have the same situation.
They have 10 sometimes. You rent it for 4, they'll have 10.
They do, but, when you have a family staying there full time, 365, 66 days a year. And then you have people staying there just weekends, or not, some weekends there's not even there. If you add it all together, it's probably not that much
Oh,
difference in time.
I think you should, definitely, if there's, have more people staying there than there should be, except it's designed to take. You should definitely do something about it. You should be careful that, like, everybody says North Star Gallery, the whole downstairs in the white section is living space. There's, 2 or 3 bedrooms upstairs, but there was before. And the main house, the big house, had 1 master bedroom. And then over the garage, there's a bedroom, which, that might have been a studio or something for the loft. I mean, I'm sure that septic gets overwhelmed, I mean, but you can't go after them if they don't have more bedrooms than their septic was designed. As long as they have those amount of people living, they're staying.
Well, isn't it 3 bedrooms, it's $1,000 tank, what's it for 4? Is it?
It's
Or
not
not.
tank size, just the tank size is also the leach field is involved in it.
Yeah, just to respond to that, according to the website, the North Star Gallery building has maximum capacity of 18 people.
Okay, see that,
That
that would be way over.
so,
Yeah.
18 people.
Yeah.
And who's to say whether it's just weekends or during the week? That is the advertised capacity.
Right. Well, it's definitely not people that are every week, I know that every week, but. No, if they get more people staying in this year, this should be addressed. Some houses, I'm sure they're renting
Well,
out.
the pumping would have to be less, would be less than 4 years, would have to be.
And the pumping certainly,
That's
it
in
really
your-
doesn't, the pumping's not really making that much difference. It's not gonna hurt, but you got a leach, so that tank gets filled up with, if you had 18 people in there, that tank would be filled up in 1 day, easily. And now your effluent's going to your leach, and that's what gets overwhelmed. So, I mean, it's good to pump it,
until it
to
goes
get
to the
solid
pumping
out, but it's
well.
still not. The tank, the leach field can't handle it. But I just think you're gonna run into some issues with other people saying, oh, what about them? You know?
Wendy has her.
Mr.
Well,
Chair,
Go ahead. Wendy?
thank you. I think the average daily usage is based on the number of bedrooms in the house. And if the short-term rental has increased the number of bedrooms than it had in the private home, then there would be a calculation of higher average volume per day. Also, in the Chester ordinance, which I hope folks have also read, there is an enforcement about the advertisement that Lisa just mentioned. So that if you advertise the space you're renting for more people than you've put on your short-term rental application, you can pay a fine for that. And I think we should have that provision in this particular ordinance as well, because that's one way to enforce it without any people. You just look at the website. If they're saying they're going to rent it for more than they put on the short-term rental, then that's a fine.
I agree.
So if we could
Yeah.
add to the list, the possibility of putting on an enforcement mechanism such as the one from Chester about the advertising of space.
Okay.
Joe, Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy.
Wendy has her hand up.
The only, huh?
Wendy has her.
Oh, Wendy,
I just
sorry.
wanna, it's not a suggestion, I was wondering, I think you sent a letter to them before. So would a letter would accompany this, right, and it would, I assume.
What, the ordinance?
Yeah.
Well, it has to go through the whole ordinance.
I
process.
understand, but when you inform these people, they're gonna get a letter of some kind, right?
Oh, yeah, obviously.
So my suggestion would be, if we have a flooding ordinance already, I guess it would be like, welcome to Grafton, we hope you know, have fun with your Airbnb, but we have this parking ordinance in the winter time, you know, that kind of
Right.
stuff, just to let them know. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the ordinance we have, and the subject.
Can I just add something?
Go ahead.
I think along with this, we need to really take a serious look at who's gonna administrate all this. You can't ask a town administrator to administrate all this policy for short-term rentals. The other piece of it is who enforces it. And also the other third piece would be who enforces the pumping issue with the septic. So there's 3 areas that this board has to really seriously look at if you're gonna put this into place. That's my take.
Yeah, and that's, oh, go ahead, Lynn.
I would just counter that with, I have a feeling it's not going to be enforceable. But it's so that if I go to town and buy a house and they, I can do whatever I want. It's sort of to inform people that somebody's paying attention. I'm not saying you're gonna be able to enforce it, but I think it's helpful for them to understand that somebody's paying attention, and also that, there are expectations, I guess, that's, that's what I was wondering. Also, I also had a question about the fire department. Did the fire department then get a list of all of these short-term rentals?
Yes,
Yeah.
Well, there's a provision for an STR administrator right here.
exactly, but and this is my concern, is that Morgan is that person, but
Well, is Morgan that person?
the only thing we can do is just send out the letters. We can't go in, we don't have a fire department, I mean, police department like Chester has. We don't have all the services that these other communities have. And it's not fair to ask the health officer to go into a house on a just like that. So the enforcement really is very difficult to enforce. The only thing we can do is send this to the people, they send it, they sign it, and they pay their fee, and hopefully that they check off that they have the proper smoke detectors and all those kinds of things. And if there is an issue, then we're gonna have to deal with it somehow, but I'm not quite sure how. It's very difficult. Okay.
Joe, is this, as far as Chester is concerned, is this like working their zoning though, too, or is that? Do they have a whole separate policy?
I don't know about that.
Well, I'm just wondering if they can do this because
They
it
have-
might be involved in zoning laws or something.
Well, Chester has zoning, but I don't know if this falls under the.
Right. They might have more ability to do things.
Oh, yeah, they have.
Because obviously, they have zoning, the police department, they have,
I mean, we looked into a service.
Mm.
You can tell them how much they want to charge us, but it's a service that they will identify all the Airbnbs, they will handle any complaints. They'll go in and do their inspections and whatever they have to go do, but how much was it that they wanted for us to do
Several thousand a
it?
year.
Yeah,
I don't have the number off.
no, but it was a couple $1,000s a year, and which we can't do it. And we did the
How
search.
much you bringing in fees though?
Yeah, but it's not gonna be, it's not enough.
Yeah, I know, but how many others?
But we checked with Chester and Ludlow, and they both got rid of them because they didn't do a very good job. So,
Suzanne has her hand up.
Suzanne,
So, Mr. Chair, I think that the discussion we're having now about how to enforce, how to control is somewhat handled in the section 3 definitions, because we have a category called hosted, which means if you're a primary resident in Grafton and you have an Airbnb associated with your home, you're going to be treated in a different way under this ordinance, and I think appropriately so. I would also suggest that under number two, local unhosted is something that we can trust the people who live here part-time and have an Airbnb when they are not in Grafton and usually have a caretaker from Grafton who takes care of their home when they're not there. I think for fire alarms, smoke alarms, water quality, all these kind of things, we can trust that those homes are, and they're likely to be giving to the fire department, the rescue squad. We can trust that those homes are pretty well taken care of. I think the highest risk category for the town of Grafton are third-party owners who have no affiliation with Grafton at all, They don't live here. They simply own a property in our beautiful village so they can charge a high price and make the money from our rental because it's such a beautiful town, which we keep that way. I think those are the ones we have to be on guard about. And I would suggest that part of the way we can do that, two things. Number one, I think this provision in the current ordinance that says the local contact who resides within 40 miles of the town of Grafton. I think we should have that read, a local contact who resides in Grafton. I mean, we have plenty of people in this town who have it as a business to be property managers. And we want to support that aspect of our local economy. So why would we give that business to anybody else except those who are in our community, know our community? Many of them actually serve on the fire and rescue squad. Why wouldn't we say that business belongs in the town of Grafton, not within a 40-mile radius?
I agree.
Okay, great. And the other thing I would say is another way to address it is under Section 6 enforcement. We have enforcement that's only available if there's a complaint. And I think for the third-party unhosted homes, we should either bar them, which would be my first preference. Let's not do them at all. And I'd love for that question to be asked to the attorney, can we do that? But if there's no way to discriminate against third-party ownership in our community, then I think their short-term rental applications ought to have a health officer visit. And I think the STR administrator would more closely manage those. And I have to say, and this is just an observation, I don't know really intimately what Morgan's workload is, except that I know she does excellent work and works hard. She's been spending a lot of time on FEMA lately. And once she gets back to a steady state and we define this problem and have a way of handling short-term rentals in this community, with her capability, I have a feeling that the STR role could be hers, along with, as it says here, the health officer and each member of the select board.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
The health box is only gonna, come if there's a complaint. That's it right in their rule book.
Right, it's
Like,
but yeah, but
same thing.
could we not add, I would ask the question, Kathy, of our attorney, could we not add an inspection step to the short-term rental applications for those third-party owners?
Okay,
These are all good points. Saying they're not.
any other,
Yeah, just to continue, and yeah, Suzanne makes excellent points here, and in a way, those requirements, all that enforcement is no different from if you rent property here on a long-term basis. You have to have a fire alarm, carbon monoxide. You may have to have a fire marshal inspect the property for safety, that there are railings and so forth that are not at risk. You have to pay roofs and wheel stacks to the state. That is not something that the town enforces. That's up to the sort of the civic responsibility of the individual owner of the property to make sure that those things are done. And they are done. I know from a case just very recently where ours became a rental property and they had to go through all these steps just in order to be able to advertise a rental property. So this is in no way more onerous than what anybody has to do who is renting, whether it's short-term or long-term. And the enforcement is the same, which is basically zero as far as the town is concerned. Only in this case, we will now have a registry and we will at least know who those properties are. But other than that, it's up to the property owner to go through all those steps, and we expect that they are good citizens and do so. With that added step for the out-of-town owners, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. I just want to be very clear. I think the people who live here full-time and have an Airbnb in their home, that's great. If it helps defer the high cost of living in Grafton, that's wonderful. If you're a second homeowner and you rent out your property part-time and you come here and you live here and you're engaged in the community and you love Grafton, that's fine. What we don't want to have happen are people like venture capitalists coming in here like they did in Stowe, and they buy up properties and the property costs go way out of scale for anyone, a normal person, family living in this town. And then they know they're not engaged. They just take advantage. And from a price standpoint, that's what bothers me the most. That's what I'm so animated about. Let's keep those kind of short-term rentals at bay while we can.
I agree. Any other comments?
So you talk about the fire, the smoke detectors and the carbon monoxide and railings and whatever. More than likely, their insurance, homeowners insurance has asked them to already comply with those kinds of things. I know that you guys have that kind of thing, especially when you're gonna, our first place, we have wanted to have a wood stove, and we had to have somebody from the fire department. I think Eric Stevens came and had to look at it to make sure that it was safe and whatever.
It's not a homeowner's policy, they have to have a renter's
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah, you just can't-
Their
So it's just
insurance.
more strict. I just want to throw with my house, I just had an insurance audit, they come and check. Make sure all the smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, and everything.
But I think you need different insurance if you're gonna,
Right, but it's still through
Yeah.
your homeowner's insurance, it's just.
I got the corner.
It's more restricted and more expensive.
yeah, the homeowner insurance is less expensive than the commercial rent insurance. That
Well, the insurance company's gonna come check these places out.
That's what I-
You would think.
If most of these short-term rentals have another, like VRBO or Expedia or TripAdvisor, they go through that system, and that system charges the rooms and meals tax, estate tax, the fees, before they even get a payment. That's all taken out, so. And when they post or advertise their property, they have to put down what they have in that home. For detectors and alarms, etc. But my point is, you gotta have an administrator to do all this. Just can't, the board would have to appoint somebody. And also do, revamping of our septic pumping ordinance. Maybe a septic hazard mitigation ordinance like that.
First, you gotta see if they're doing anything wrong, if they don't, if they have the right amount of people in the house, I don't see how you can change the rules for somebody, that's all.
I think the pumping has to change. If they have 18 people that they.
Now, they're breaking the rules.
Yeah.
If actually, if you more than
Yeah.
one, they shouldn't be able to do that, you shouldn't be able to have 18 people staying in a house, maybe have 8 living, that's just not. But if they're not breaking the rules, there's nothing you really do, so I can see. And I don't know about the fee, I guess, I don't know how you can charge, I know it's not very much money, how you can charge certain businesses a fee and not another business. And they're paying income tax, supposed to be, on their money, and they're paying their taxes like everybody else. I think that's just gonna be more of a ball, charging them $50 or $40 in there a year. To do it.
So hopefully we can put something together and share it with our attorney and get some input from them. It's not an easy job.
No,
I don't know if anyone's paying attention to what's going on at the state office for short-term rentals. But the state office is trying to add another 10% because of for board tax on top of the 9% that's already there just for short-term rentals to try to slow down the industry. So they're already going through that as well. So the state is well aware of what's happening and they're trying to do it at a state level.
Yeah, but so far the state has been reluctant to pass any legislation. They just
Yeah.
came up a couple of years ago and they just passed it over.
Yes.
So who knows?
I know it's been a huge topic recently.
Yeah.
Well, we need money now, so we're probably.
Well, they also trying to change the school tax, where we're gonna be faced with anywhere from 15–18% tax. Because they're gonna change the 21.
Right.
And that's maybe going to affect 2027. I don't know, it's a mess.
I mean, I agree with it. I just don't know how you're gonna enforce it. It's the key thing.
Well, that's the issue.
And the ones that don't have the problem paying, in fact, are obviously the ones that are following the rules and they're supposed to be there. So. Then you still have the ones that are doing it without you knowing it.
I just don't understand how you can, I mean, how you can ask some things more specific of one homeowner than another. Say you have a person who has two houses, they live in one house, but they Airbnb the other one. You know, you're gonna tell them how they can have their trash, or, you know, you have to get your septic pumped more, and you can't park here, and you have to be quiet at a certain amount of time, it's just.
Yeah, I see that's hard to do.
Yeah, or if you have people within the village and then people outside of the village, are you gonna have the same rules for them? Because you're always gonna have that one neighbor who just doesn't like that there's an Airbnb next to them. And they're just gonna nitpick and complain about every single thing. That's gonna be a full-time job for whoever this administrator is.
I couldn't agree more.
You're gonna have
It's an issue.
night, in the middle of the night phone call, weekends, holidays, everything, it's going to be a mess.
It is already an issue, and the problem is that we don't have any regulations and we don't have any way to go to the owners of the Airbnbs to say, you have to control the activities on your property. We have had complaints about noise. The town highway department has complained about out of town guests.
It's not just out of town.
No, but this is an attempt to control this. We already have these complaints and these problems. And when we have a registry and when we know who they are, and when we ask them to follow certain rules, then we expect that those rules are followed. Right now, we have nothing. We have just hopefully the goodwill. And our own local residents who run Airbnbs, I think for the most part, are doing a great job, and it's a perfectly legitimate business. Nobody is trying to change that, but it is mostly the out of town, yes, the out of town owners, the combination of those two, who have no connection to the town and no sense of responsibility, how to behave and how to be a good Grafton resident, because they aren't, they have no connection here.
We
So,
have,
and I would like to just add that I really don't believe that the enforcement of these very modest rules will be a big hardship. They will be no more a big hardship than the rules that apply to people who are renting currently. That is not a town responsibility. There will be very little for the town to enforce. Only when there are complaints, and the complaints are already coming.
You mean immediate enforcement or enforcement to the owner? You have a party going on at some Airbnb, somebody's gonna go there and try to quiet it down. You think that's gonna be an easy task?
The complaint will go to the owner of the property, who
Yeah.
will then have to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
you can't get.
And we already have that situation,
We do.
especially in the village.
We do, and you also have other situations where there's, you know, this dangerous thing happening to, look at the guy on White Orchard Road, he's home and his house is getting broken into, and you can't get state police to come out here and save your life.
You
But
can't even get
we
your
have-
contract card and say-
we have a neighbor who has property near our property, they come every once in a while, and sometimes when they come, they light off fireworks. I don't particularly like it. But I have to deal with it, there's not an ordinance for them, there's a law, but they don't care. I just don't, I think you're opening a big can of worms.
I think just the opposite, Lisa, and I believe me, I think private homeowners have all kinds of rights, but when you decide to go into business in a town like Grafton, and as I said, I think our second homeowners who live here part-time fall into a very similar category as our primary residents. But I think this ordinance is really preventative. Because right now, we maybe have one or two corporate-owned properties. If we don't put up some kind of barriers to keep corporations from buying, or LLCs, or people who do not live in Grafton, have no association with it, as Lisa said, do not give to the local fire department, do not understand how important volunteerism is in this community, are not engaged, we are going to be setting ourselves up for being taken advantage of. People want to charge a high price and pay nothing for it. And I just don't think that's right. And I think also, if I just may finish my train of thought, if we require local property managers as the emergency contact, that in and of itself will be an enforcement. Because these are people who care about Grafton and live here. I think that in and of itself would be an enforcement factor.
So I have a question for you, Suzanne, then, because Lisa just said that if there's a noise complaint, then you're gonna go to the owner of the property and complain to them, so it's like not to happen again. But you're saying if there's a property manager, you're gonna go to them. So does it go to the property manager or does it go to the owner of the property? Because honestly, the owner of the property has more clout than the property manager does.
Yeah, I think you raised very good points, Lisa, and these things would have to be worked out. I think that we should take the next step, which is to take all of the ideas that have been collected here in this meeting tonight, look at them again after they've been tested by the town attorney, and have this discussion again. I think your points are excellent. But I also agree with Lisa that we've got to do something. Right now, we have nothing. And we don't want this to start spinning out of control before we decide to do something.
Any other comments?
Well, if you have in the ordinance, let's suppose a noise provision, and there's a problem, we can fine them up to $800, it says here. So isn't that I mean, if you go to the guy who owns the house and say, okay, last weekend you violated the noise ordinance, we had 3 complaints. Therefore, under section 6 enforcement, it's a civil matter enforced and subject to civil penalty of up to $800 a day for each day.
But a civil matter, you go to civil courts. You don't have anybody to enforce that. You don't have an officer or an administrator to enforce that.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Then you go,
Lean on the
you have to go to civil court. You're talking paperwork, serving the paperwork, having someone go to court. Then some corporate company hiring their high-moving lawyer at $500 an hour, and you've got more in court.
Those are the issues, and that's the problem.
Anybody, it doesn't have to be.
I'm just saying, right now, they said that it may be more.
I don't understand why we're thinking there's no enforcement when there's section 6. It says that there's going to be an $800 day fine. And it authorizes the STR administrator, the health officer, the constable, and all members of the select board to be on the receiving end of that. And what we've just talked about is adding to this list, not just the complaints, but also a proactive inspection by the health officer for any third-party owners. And we've added that the property managers should be local people. I mean, how can we then argue that there's no possible enforcement? We've got to ask our lawyer this. We've got all these provisions. Why would you have to go to court? I mean, do you want to lean against your property because you have property fines for violations? That's what'll happen.
Why do we have any accepted ordinance? Because that's not enforceable going by your library. What is it, $25 a day or something if you don't pump it? That's been in place for how many years now? So if we're saying we can't enforce an ordinance, then we should just get rid of that one too.
How do we enforce it? Separate one.
I'm just saying, like,
No,
the town pumps it.
You have to.
Okay, so down pumps it and charge it, you got that over their head.
Right.
Do that.
So then we pump it and then it's, they have to pay for it. If not, it goes on.
Has that ever happened? Has that ever happened?
I'm not sure, to be honest, I don't think it has.
Yeah,
We have,
why?
some people are very slow, we have to send them the letters,
Remind them.
but,
We have to try something. We have to try something. If it doesn't work, that's all. I mean, you gotta try something. They have to understand. They have to understand that we're paying attention. I think that's the goal here, is to pay attention to what's going on. Not that we can stop them from fireworks or shooting guns like they do on Otis Road all the time, you know, there's nothing to, just try something.
We gotta get them registered.
Just something.
well, I mean, we're a long way from this being enacted. Obviously, it's an ordinance, has to be approved by the voters and whatever, but I think the suggestions are very well taken. Let's sit down with Morgan and we'll get the town attorney involved. And in a couple of months or something, whatever it takes, we'll get another draft. It's not something that we're gonna, we have FEMA to worry about and there's other things that takes precedence, but we'll certainly work on this. And we'll have a subsequent meeting sometime down the week.
Joe, I just want to thank the select board for taking this subject up tonight and for entertaining this this really lively discussion. And as you said, bring up some good points. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any other business? Go ahead, Don.
I thought tonight was the night you were gonna announce the interim select person.
No, we're having a special town meeting.
No. I believe it says that you guys in executive session were naming a temporary person to serve
Yeah,
on the
but
board.
that was done before the petition came in.
Before the what?
Petition.
Yeah, well, the petition is for a general election.
Yeah.
But you personally said you were gonna put an interim person in until that election.
No, we didn't say that.
Yes, you did. And then at the last meeting, Don, they said they would not appoint somebody.
Right, we did not appoint somebody because at the time, we were not aware of having a special election. Any other public comment? If not, the next regular meeting is May 6th here at 6 o'clock. Thank you for all attorney. So motion to adjourn. Nobody make a motion. So, yeah. All in favor, say aye.